7 seconds. I could show you 7 seconds of a football match, and that 7 seconds will give you total and utter comprehension of everything that has been happening this season. It sounds impossible, doesn't it? It sounds like I am totally making this up, but I guarantee you that it is true. If you watch a clip of Arsenal towards the end of the game against Burnley, and you only watch 7 seconds of that football match, you will actually understand exactly who Arsenal are, exactly who's top of the league, exactly why they are top of the league, and you will have a fair understanding of exactly what's been going on so far this season. It sounds extreme, but I'm going to totally stand by this point. Now let me set you a scene. I'm at work, I'm at TalkSport, I am watching the Arsenal game with Mr. Jamie O'Hara. Now Jamie and I saw something and we both clocked it immediately. We looked at one another, we looked up at the screen, we looked in sheer bafflement and annoyingly sheer dazzlement. We were both so impressed with what we saw Arsenal do. In the dying seconds of that game, Arsenal did something so impressive. In stoppage time, with the score 2-0 to Arsenal, with barely any time left on the clock, Arsenal concede possession. Arsenal have a set piece, they had a corner, they ultimately give the ball away and Burnley look to break. Now Burnley were looking to score nothing other than a consolation goal. They were trying to break, they were trying to make a statement, but ultimately the ground was emptying. Everybody knew that Arsenal had won the game. There was absolutely no jeopardy that Arsenal were going to secure the 3 points. Anyway, Burnley break. Burnley aren't particularly incisive, they aren't particularly up for it, but break nonetheless. And what happens? Suddenly we see a defining moment of the season. Suddenly we see a total and utter indication as to who Arsenal are. Now I need to emphasise this again. The 3 points are in the bag for Arsenal. Arsenal sit top of the league. It is impossible for Burnley to get anything other than a consolation goal out of this game. Nonetheless, what happens? Suddenly, in the screen that Jamie and I are watching, we're looking up at the screen, 1 Arsenal player, 2 Arsenal player, 3 Arsenal player, 4 Arsenal, 5 Arsenal, 6 Arsenal. Every single Arsenal player on the pitch is suddenly sprinting back as if their life depends on it. It's as if their entire season is in total and utter jeopardy. They are flying back, sheer determination on their faces. They are desperate to win the ball back, desperate to protect their goalkeeper, desperate to make sure that they do not concede a goal. They were playing with an intensity that a lot of teams this season haven't demonstrated in minute 1. Seriously, think about it. Pick any goal that you have seen a team concede this season. Let's just go with the Tottenham goal, right? Chelsea scoring against Tottenham. What a moment. Always fun to talk about it. Caicedo wins a 50-50, wins another 50-50. Think about the mentality on display in that moment from Xavi Simons. Thomas Frank was forced to sub the sub. That is the mentality of what is going on at certain clubs with certain professional footballers. Not at Arsenal. It is the exact polar opposite. The fight, the determination, the togetherness to not concede a meaningless goal. Mikel Arteta spoke about it afterwards. He spoke about it and he referred to it as a desire to defend. And you know what? I can appreciate a desire to defend. I think it's a remarkable quality. It's a quality that will set you up for greatness. I can actually appreciate a desire to defend almost as much as I can appreciate a beautifully crafted goal. Now, I am terribly sorry to interrupt this video and I really do hope you're enjoying it. But if you are, even just a little bit, would you do me a massive favour? Please click subscribe. It really helps me out and I would love to welcome you into this community. Also, would you mind giving it a like just so I can monitor it? And if you're really enjoying it, why not give it some hype points? No one knows what they do, but apparently they're helpful. Thank you so much. Getting your buzz out of defending, there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. And as a result of that desire to defend, Arsenal last conceded a goal in September. Over 700 minutes of competitive football have passed since Arsenal last conceded a goal. In fact, against Burnley again, they didn't even concede a shot on goal. That is the 3rd time in 4 Premier League games that Arsenal haven't even conceded a shot on goal. David Raya is totally untroubled. He is effectively a spectator, a very highly paid spectator with a wonderful view of the game. He's basically just got a season ticket in a clock end watching Arsenal play football. He's got nothing to do. And that approach, that desire to defend, it is ruthlessly brilliant. But let's go back to that 7 seconds. Let's look at the faces of the players sprinting back. Let's think about what was going through their mind. They were so hungry, so keen, so desperate to protect their record. And what does it tell us about them? It tells us that they are so impassioned, so up for it, so ready to fight. And look, I'm quite often on social media labelled a passion passion merchant. People spell passion at me in a very illiterate way. I don't quite know what it means, but people call me passion merchant or something along those lines, and they spell passion in an incorrect way. I don't care. I don't see anything wrong with seeing passion as a good thing. I think being passionate is so important. It's not the only thing. You know, you don't win everything simply by being passionate. If you did, Neil Warnock or Antonio Conte would win every single trophy in every single competition in every single year. But there is certainly a place for that passion and fight in football, and Arsenal are displaying it by the truckload. So, the desire to defend. People are now slating Arsenal, sneering at Arsenal, suggesting that Arsenal are boring, suggesting that Arsenal aren't entertaining. I was listening to Talk Sport, and I was listening to Jeff Stelling talking about how dull he finds Arsenal, how boring he finds Arsenal. Now, I mean this with all due respect, that is of no concern to anyone who supports Arsenal. Mikel Arteta doesn't have to entertain Jeff Stelling. Nobody has a God-given right to be entertained by Arsenal. Arsenal fans will tell you this, and as a Chelsea fan, I totally agree and empathise. Winning is in itself entertaining. If you really want to be entertained, go and watch a Marvel film. Football isn't about entertainment. Football is about winning. Football is about a desire to win. It's about lifting silverware. It's about fighting to the bitter end, and it's about finding a way to succeed. If the way that you find to succeed happens to be dull, in Jeff Stelling's opinion, happens to be dull in the general consensus of football, happens to not necessarily entertain in the traditional sense of the word, I don't think that matters one bit. Win the league. Ask Arsenal fans how entertained they feel when they are having a parade on Upper Street, celebrating their first title for over 2 decades. It's actually genuinely one of my pet hates in football, this. As if somehow Mikel Arteta's priority should be your entertainment, Jeff Stelling's entertainment. Mikel Arteta has a duty only to Arsenal fans. The duty is to succeed. The duty is to win. And I would also argue that sometimes these sensationally, defensively rugged teams are entertaining. When people would have a pop at me about Jose Mourinho's team, they would often say how boring we were, only conceding 15 goals or whatever. We were enthralling. We were so exciting. Yeah, we were tight. Yeah, we could win games 1-0. Yeah, we were resolute. And quite often, when we go 1-0 up, nothing else happened. But it was also some of the most pulsating football I have ever seen at Stamford Bridge. Damien Duff on the charge. Arjen Robben jinking past defender after defender. Didier Drogba scoring outrageously brilliant goals. Frank Lampard hitting them from 30 yards as they rocket in off the bar. It was wonderful stuff. And there are mirrors of that with this Arsenal team. How boring can they realistically be when they have artists like Eberechi Eze in the team? How boring can they realistically be when they have a world-class footballer like Bukayo Saka in the team? How boring can they be when they have a battering Ram centre-forward? And how boring can they be when they have one of the best players in the world in their midfield? I'm going to come on to talk about Declan Rice later on in this video, but for now, I think that we just need to focus on how good Arsenal have been. If you, as a team, have the potential to be really silky, and in Arsenal's case, silkier than anyone else in the league. If you, as a team, have the ability to be hateful, and in Arsenal's case, more hateful than anyone else in the league, then quite often, 2 and 2 makes a Christmas cake. You're going to win the league. Find you a guy that can do both. You have the ability to play expansive football. If you want to go toe-to-toe with Arsenal and have a game of swashbuckling football, Bukayo Saka and Eberechi Eze will rip you apart. If you want to have a fight with Arsenal, if you want to make it a hateful, bloodied game, Gabriel will have a fight with you. And again, I can draw a parallel on Chelsea. If you wanted to play football against us, Arjen Robben will have you over. But equally, if you want to come to Stamford Bridge and try and bully us, Michael Essien will batter you. Arsenal can do it all. And they are now a genuine contender. In fact, a genuine favourite for the league title. Like, they are in formidable shape. They've got some brilliant players still to return. Noni Madueke, Martin Odegaard, Kai Havertz are still to come back from injury. That will add a depth and a resilience that makes them an incredibly intimidating force. They also defend like animals, dominate set pieces, are ruthless in both boxes and possess genuinely world-class players who are capable of doing it at the very top. But they are not unstoppable. And this myth about the title being over or the title race being finished needs to end now. Liverpool are a capable team, capable of rediscovering themselves, capable of finding the form, capable of going on a huge run, capable of redefining themselves and capable of winning the league. Is it unlikely? Yes. But is it impossible? Absolutely not. And in Manchester City, you have the establishment, a team totally capable of anything. the best manager in the world currently plying his trade. And in Erling Haaland, they have a player who is capable of propelling any team to any trophy. Think about it. Think about when Robin van Persie left Arsenal to go to Manchester United. If you are an Arsenal fan watching this video, you have immediately just felt a pang of pain going through your heart. And that's because Robin van Persie left Arsenal and he took the league to Manchester United. He landed at that club, he scored 1 billion goals, basically all of them before Christmas, and he won the league. There is a clear and proven track record, a case study of a team winning a league because the centre-forward demands that they do. And Erling Haaland can easily be that striker. So any talk of Arsenal being totally out of reach, it is so premature. We're a quarter of the way through the season. And obviously Arsenal fans will admit this, the fixtures of late have been very kind to Arsenal. Liverpool playing Man City when they're preoccupied with playing Sunderland and Burnley and whatever else. But that will change. Yeah. Up until this international break, it's been very good to Arsenal. They only have to worry about Slavia Prague and Sunderland whilst their rivals are all playing each other. But when the international break ends, Arsenal fans will know that that defining period could actually be the answer. In the same week, they play 2 London derbies, including one against Tottenham and Bayern Munich. They play Tottenham, Bayern and Chelsea. Look, if they come out of that unscathed, if they somehow beat us, if they somehow beat Tottenham, if they somehow beat Bayern Munich, then yeah, maybe we need to start talking about them being unrivaled for the league. But let's see how it goes. I'm inclined to think that there are a lot of twists and turns to come. But if they do win it, it's because they've been smart. Arsenal have been smart. They persevered with their manager. They were sensible in the transfer market. And they went out and they improved their squad exactly where they needed to. Victor Gyökeres. He was excellent the other day against Burnley. And he is an ugly striker in his way that he plays. He's not exactly techie. And he can score ugly goals. Now, the word ugly naturally has negative connotations, but I mean it in a total flip reverse of the word. I mean ugly in its positive sense. Scoring ugly goals is exactly what Arsenal need. You know when Gyökeres scored that goal against Atletico Madrid and he sort of tackled the ball and the ball ends up in the back of the net? That is a dream for Arsenal. That goal represents exactly why Arsenal are so much more likely to succeed this season. Ugly goals, a battering ram centre forward. That is what they need. And that ugly style is married up with a truly glorious footballer. I'm now going to painfully wax lyrical about a former Chelsea youth product who was doing the business for Arsenal, and he's a king of a footballer. Isn't it heartbreaking to think that if we hadn't sold Declan Rice, Chelsea would have the 2 best midfielders in the league currently playing together? Caicedo is outrageous, but Declan Rice is an extraordinary midfielder, a monster. You know, look at the way he took his goal the other day. He took it like he was a centre-forward, and look how important he is to everything Arsenal do. Whenever we talk about Arsenal, and rather weirdly, we sneer at them, and we call them set-piece FC, as if that's a negative. Who is integral? We always focus on Saliba, we always focus on the brilliance of Gabriel, we focus on Nico Jova and maybe even Mikel Arteta. The man that we don't talk about enough is actually at the epicentre of everything good that Arsenal do from set-pieces. That man is Declan Rice. A king when it comes to set pieces. He is the epicenter. Declan Rice is the reason that it works. You have no set piece. If you have nobody that can deliver the ball on a sixpence, then you have no set pieces. And Declan Rice is just so important. He took total control of that midfield. He does it in his own way. He can do it in both ways. He has a physical presence and he has technical power. He can do it all. The performance against Burnley was about as complete a midfield performance as you will see this season. It was ridiculous. Now, I saw this thing on social media about the number. Hang on, I'm going to look for it. Bear with. Here we go. I got it for you, right? So this is Declan Rice against Burnley. He was first for touches. He had 94 touches of the ball. That was first. He was first for passes played into the opposition box. That was 7. He was first for crosses. That was 6. And he was first for tackles. That was 5. He was first for interceptions. That was 3. He was first for duels won. Yeah, that was 9. 9 duels won. Oh, he was first. Sorry, I thought that was the end of the list. It isn't. He was first for possession won. Again, 9. And he was also first for total carry distance, which is 275.8 metres. Just an unreal player. We have to credit Mikel Arteta with being part of the reason that Declan Rice is so good. Because people are very quick to forget. When he was at West Ham, people didn't see him like this. I remember Gary Neville saying he was a £60 million player. I remember Eni Aluko telling us that Man City didn't actually want to sign him, remember? I'm not making this up. This is actually true. I remember Arsenal initially putting in a bid of 80 million, something like that, and then having to up it. And West Ham fans thinking that they got one over on Arsenal, thinking that Arsenal overpaid for the player. And on some level, Arsenal did overpay for the player because they thought he was an £80 million player, hence their bid at 80 million. They then upped it by, 20%, 25%. They got their man, but they did overpay. Now that looks like a bargain. So with Declan Rice at the helm, with Bukayo Saka doing what he does on such a consistent basis, and then both that sprinkle of stardust in Eberechi Eze and then that solidity at the back, Arsenal look a force. Have they ruined the title race? Absolutely not. Should we sneer at them for not being entertaining? Absolutely not. Do we desperately hope that Man City or Liverpool can somehow muster up the minerals to win the league? 100%. Because I cannot live in a world where Arsenal actually do it. But I'm actually having to start processing it. Start rationalising how I can live again where Arsenal have won the league. Because they look unstoppable. As always, thank you so much for watching this video. I really do appreciate it. If you've enjoyed it, please give it a like. Please click subscribe. And I look forward to seeing what you have to say in the comment section below. Ta-da.